Good evening, guys. I hope you're all well and welcome back to the Amateur Footballer channel, where today we are going to be discussing the England result. As you can see on the bottom left of the screen, England 0, USA 0. Today we are joined by Michelle. Say hello.
Hi, guys.
And we are joined by Joe as well. Say hello.
Wagwan.
Now, a bit of a debate that's going to be happening today, I feel. Quite a lot to go through, quite a lot of discussions that we're going to have to talk through. The first one I want to talk about is Southgate's tactics, how he sort of set up. I feel that he was set up poorly, and I didn't think that he played for the draw. I feel that he just let USA get better of him. Michelle, what's your thoughts on it?
I actually disagree. I think he played 100% for the draw. I think his instructions was slow the game right down and do not lose. I generally think that was his advice. So that's playing for the draw. And even for the win to some extent, I don't think he was even playing for that with the way the team was kind of set up and just how slow they were. Like, it got to the point, I think John Stones stopped twice, like actually stopped, and everyone else stopped around him. And I was just like, what's going on? Like, I know USA are quick, and that's a good tactic to some extent. But every time we broke, like moved the ball quicker, we actually had chances. So anyone who's a manager and sees that will be like, right, okay, let's switch it up. Let's get everyone moving quicker, or bring on players that are fast, like Foden. But he chose not to, which then makes me think even more so he played for the draw, 100%.
And Joe, what's your thoughts on it?
Yeah, probably echo your sentiments on that, Shell. I'm probably a little bit in the middle. I don't think he would have played for a draw. I think he would have wanted to win the game and, have nothing on the last game. I think with Gareth being quite a conservative manager, I think it didn't help that we smashed Iran, because the goal difference almost gives us that allowance to get that draw in the game against USA, if that makes sense. So he would have analysed, what if this result happens? What if that happens? And he would have known at half the time that, we're probably going to go through with 4 points. Or worst case scenario, we need at least a point off Wales. So it is negative. I agree with both of you. Did he set out to lose? I don't think any manager would not to lose. Or did he set out to win? They're similar things. I think his mentality. I'll give you I'm not sure. If I had money on it, he would have set out to win the game. And then after about 45 minutes, I think he would have reviewed how crap the team were playing, how that he might have got it a little bit wrong with the personnel that he put in. And I do definitely think in the second half, his mentality was not to lose. So I think maybe it would have changed throughout the game, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it does. But my only thing is, if he set out to win, right, everyone looked lethargic. I mean, I love Saka. He's one of my own. But, like, he looks tired. Everyone generally looked tired. So I was a bit like, actually, fair enough, you start the same starting 11 as who beat Iran, fine. But as soon as you start to see, like, Jude Bellingham gave the ball away quite a number of times. Like, when you start to see those mistakes happening, you change it up. So then, if you're saying that he didn't set out to play for the draw and he wanted to win, I would have made those changes that he made a lot earlier. Like,
this is what I'm saying. I think he got to half time, reevaluated, and didn't want to change the team and upset the rhythm too much because USA had the front foot. So I think he said to himself, right, I feel like this team's going to keep him out. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Well, it's very negative. It's very negative because you are a team that should say, hang on a minute, we're better than them. We've got better players to bring on. But he's not that type of manager. We've seen that in the past. To be honest with you, he probably should have made better and different changes in the final against Italy. He doesn't, maybe that's why he's got so far in the tournaments, to be fair, because his conservative nature does allow you to progress. He hasn't been beaten in 90 minutes in a competitive fixture in terms of World Cups at tournaments.
Yeah.
I think it's ridiculous. His stats, he hasn't been beaten. Croatia took extra time, and
Italy was penalties.
Yeah. So
I reckon
that's even a negative mindset.
We lost to Belgium.
Not in a competitive tournament fixture is what I'm talking about.
It was the World Cup group stage, wasn't it? Last World Cup.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
We lost 1-0 to Belgium.
Did we? Well, that would have been our last loss anyway.
That was our last loss. Yeah, I know what you mean.
I heard the stats on it. It's something like 12, 16 games, something like that. You haven't been beaten. And I think you can look at that two ways. Does Gareth's negative tactics work in a sense of, are you going to get to the latter rounds? Yes, but it doesn't win you anything, because in my eyes, you're hoping for another team to sort of have an off day. You don't go out there and win it.
Yeah.
And that's the problem. And that's why I say as well this year, like Brazil, I've watched both of Brazil's games. I don't fear them at all. I think if England turn up, they turn them over. No, I do not fear them one bit. I think England, this is a statement I'm going to make, and then you may sort of get where I'm coming from, Michelle. I think the type of England, the side England are now, currently, I think they can beat any team in the tournament in a knockout game. I also believe
including the defence.
And I also believe they could get beat by anyone. Okay. Yeah, as a
I think you can say that about. I think you could say that about most teams in competition. Though. Like when it's knockout competition.
Because the way I'm saying it is, it would be close. It's not like we're not going to go out there and win a game, an important game. Every game that we have under, and this is Gareth, you'll see this through the tournament. Every game we have under Gareth, once we've progressed through the group, is cagey. We will not be on top in terms of possession, shots, and just the want to win against anyone, no matter who he puts out. He sticks Foden in the team and sticks him on the wing. Everyone's calling for Foden. I'm calling for Foden. Would he put him in the hole and allow him to create? No.
But in fairness, Guardiola has also played Foden in a winger role. I think it's the actual tactics and the way England play compared to City.
Because I get what you're saying, but when he's playing City, he's playing with a better team that pass and move the ball faster. He also gives Foden a license, if you have a look, to come in. When he plays for England, he's on the wing. He rarely comes in.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Tactically.
Yeah, tactically, but I don't think just tactically. They're better players. For me, I actually agree with what Stuart Pearce has said today on what he'd start against Wales. I think it's a bit ludicrous, but I get what he's saying. Put a energetic sort of front foot team out, because you're not going to get beat 4-0. If they do, they deserve to go home and, well, I'll eat my words. But Stuart Pearce said, I'll play 3 at the back and match what Wales are going to do. I'd have wing backs. I would have Trent and Trippier. And you'd rest Shaw. He said, I'd have Wilson up top and I'd rest Kane. I'd have Grealish, Foden, and who else did he say? Rashford. And a couple of midfielders. I think he would have rested Bellingham and played Henderson.
And had Bryson.
But the formation he put and the talent out there was very much Grealish, Foden, Wilson. I want to play, let's play. And actually that could probably help England, because they're not sort of got what's considered their best side out. And I actually sort of agree with him. I'd love to see Trent in this game. I'd love to see people get minutes, because actually they might actually surprise you as well. And you'd think, hang on a minute, they could be a good option for latter rounds. But knowing Gareth, I don't think he will. I think he might start Henderson, though.
See, I think the biggest issue I have is when we brought Southgate in to manage England, I don't think it was to win competitions. I think we brought Gareth Southgate in to, I want to call it steady the ship, but it's do you know what I mean? It's every full year or every 2 years with Euros as well. But I didn't think we signed Southgate for that. And I think Southgate has been very lucky with the players we have to carry him this far. I don't think Southgate's tactics set us up in a way which he won the game for us. I felt the ability of the players carried Southgate to this, well, we got to the semi-finals of the World Cup. Oh, we got to the Euros final. I don't think that was much of Southgate. I think that was more of the players. You look at the likes of Kane, who is a talisman, who I'm going to get onto later in this video because I cannot stand the way that I see him play at the minute. But you have the likes of Foden, you have the likes of Rashford, you have the likes of Sterling, all these sorts of players. Sterling had a stellar performance in the Euros, from what I can remember. Yeah. He was one of our best players in the World Cup, in the Euros, and I think that Sterling, among other many people that we do have in the squad, should be getting praised more than I hear Southgate's name being about, because I think that it's unfair to see Southgate's people sticking up for Southgate when I don't think it was his system as much.
Well, I can answer one question you had in your point there. They did employ Southgate to win stuff. So the whole plan of the English FA was to win a trophy by 2022 and reach a major final by 2020, which has actually so far, the progressive tactics that they exactly put down for what they wanted out of a manager has actually been hit almost on the head. It was semi-finals, final, and then a trophy. And they couldn't, honestly, if you, from 2010, I think the statement is from the English FA. So they did employ him to win stuff.
Just
however,
not quickly.
However, for me, after the Italy final, I thought Croatia might have been a one-off. The legs had gone, but no, it was tactically wrong from Gareth. And although he got us in them positions, which other managers may not have, other managers would have done a better job in them big games. So he is a little bit inept tactically, unfortunately.
Now, I just want to quickly say hello here. Jackie has come in. Evening, Jackie. Happy Monday to all of us. Happy Monday to you also. Nappa's mum as well, saying hi to Jackie as well. Happy to have you two in. And yeah, let us know what you're thinking. Jackie has been enjoying the matches, particularly the unpredictability. Have enjoyed the matches so far. I'd agree. Some of the...
you got to love a turn-up result in the World Cup. I love it every time. It's probably
Saudi Arabia winning. You've got Japan beating Germany. You've got all these teams coming up. But yeah, back to the point with Southgate. Michelle, what's your feelings about Southgate and the way it's been?
Yeah, I actually agree with Joe in terms of his tactics are just, they're not, I don't know if he's got a winning mentality. That's why I find it odd that the FA hired him to win stuff. I just don't think he has that ruthlessness, because for me...
No, he's a not-lose man.
Yeah, he's basically, you saw in that USA game, because generally, we're just talking about it, because obviously Nappa's one was just like, Jackie was like, oh, actually, like she likes the unpredictability. And that's the problem with these competitions, right? Anyone can win on your day. And actually, Joe, you did say it, like, England could beat anyone or they can lose to anyone. It's generally that. So that's what pissed me off so much about this England-USA game, because I was like, why would you ever go into the second, especially off the back of that win, go into a game with such a negative kind of tactic and mentality? Because actually on any given day, Wales, we know they're aging, but they have got the likes of Bell. They've got, Ramsey. Like, these players have played with these guys before as well. There's that. Obviously, we lost to. Did we lose to Scotland in the Euros? But like, literally, we drew. But then
that was also a 0-0 dire.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
So do you know what? Sometimes I feel like Gareth doesn't want to concede the first goal as well, which sort of makes the cagey game. Like, whereas actually, these teams that are at the World Cup, they've qualified. They are an averagely good team because they've had to come through their groups in whatever part of the world. So it's like Gareth don't want to concede the first goal. But surely, if you're playing USA, you think, well, if we do go forward and concede, we could score two. We're better than them. But that's what he's lacking, isn't it? Sorry, Michelle, that's what I'm sort of trying to say.
Yeah, no. And that's the problem, right? But I think that comes back to the whole mentality thing, right? In terms of like, he hasn't got that, if we go down, what do we do? Like, and we saw it kind of in the final, right, of the Euros, where he brought on 3 players really late on to then take penalties, which, any manager would just brought them on earlier just to get a feel of the ball and then go for it. And or probably set up that kind of lineup for the penalties differently. But I think he just doesn't know what to do in adversity. One thing I would say that he did well was bring on Hendo, because I remember when he was coming on, because I could see him warming up and I was just like, is that? I literally was like, is that Henderson? And I was just like, why would you bring on Henderson when
he was the best player on the pitch? He would have been my England man of the match.
Yeah.
But he actually was. Like, if he had more minutes, he would have 100% more, because he was like, he came on, was chasing, closing down, like really hunting that ball, and he was shouting. I was literally, because I wasn't actually too far from that side of the pitch, but I literally could hear him shouting, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is what they needed. Actually, Hendo like coming on, adding some energy in it, because you could all feel it. We're all like, everyone's really flat. Like, you've just beat like Iran 6-2. Like, you should be on a high, but everyone was tired. But then Hendo, I think bringing him on, he should have brought him on earlier, 100%. But he naturally galvanized, because after he was on, everyone started pressing as well. And I was a bit like, this is what we kind of needed.
You think that shows that we lack a leader in the sense of our starting 11?
Yes, we do. Because actually, I was going to say, there's enough leaders in that team. But then obviously people would argue that isn't Maguire captain of Man United, but we all know Maguire's got his he's got his faults. But there was definitely something that killer instinct was lacking, because you can see as soon as we moved it quicker, we actually got a chance. I'm like, why would you just naturally do that? If the players on the pitch can't do that, take them off. We've got a whole bench full of, like, as you said, talent, like serious talent. Actually, Trent, through his faults, like, can't defend, but USA weren't really, like, they had chances.
No.
They weren't
cutting you open. They weren't cutting you open.
So Trent, bring him on. It's fine. Like, someone cover him. But I just think, and I think that's what's frustrating about Southgate. And I'm like, actually, this game gets Wales tomorrow. Everyone's like, oh yeah, Wales, like, we should beat them. But anyone on their day can beat us, and it's a World Cup.
Yeah, you are right. But I am telling you, I said it would be a very cagey, crap performance and we'd beat USA 1-0. So
yeah,
I was just off of it. We will smack up Wales. We will smack up Wales.
See, you say that, but you were talking about mentality, Michelle. And one of the things that I wanted to touch upon, isn't this just an absolute mood kill? The high that they must have been experiencing in the changing room after winning 6-2, the first game of the World Cup, they must have been having some high buzz. It's all come crashing down for me. If I was an England player and we set out like that and we played like that against arguably a rival, if you would say.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah, I'd say they are. I'd say they are in terms of, like,
just countries,
sort of political world and
Wales, Scotland, Ireland, all of them.
Yeah.
But I think, like, that's another thing that I wanted to bring onto about mentality, but I'll get onto that in a second. The mentality must have been an absolute mood kill for the players, because it's a rivalry. You want to be up for it. You want to go out there. You want to win. You want to play for the badge, play for the country, play some football. And apart from the defence, I didn't see one player actually want the ball. Apart from Kane, but I'm hating Kane at the minute from what I see. I cannot stand him dropping back to CDM. For me, whether it's how he plays, whether that's just how he plays, I don't care. He's not a number 9, and I do not like him playing CDM for England. We saw it. Oh, it may have worked against Iran.
I was going to say,
did it work against USA? Did it?
But I thought Iran, as okay as we played, Iran, I know they got smacked up 6-2. Well, it should be 6-1. But do you know, I'm not even going to say it was 6-2, 6-1, because that penalty was an absolute joke. But they did sort of have a bit of legs about them and run at us and leave space in behind. I honestly think the reason why England struggle in knockout games is a similar reason to why we've struggled for years. I don't feel like we've got a controller in the middle of the park. Rice breaks up balls and he can play you sort of 2-3 yards and he breaks up a lot of play. Henderson is a leader. But in terms of talent, someone who can dictate a game's pace, someone who can keep the ball, but not just 2-yard square back passes and stop with the ball, someone who actually progresses it, but in a very sensible and controlling manner. And I just think that's probably the one position. I was hoping Bellingham would be that player, but actually when I watch him play for England, he's not. He's sort of more of a progressive.
Bellingham disappointed me a lot that game.
Yeah, but even in the first game, he seems more of a sort of progressive midfielder. He's not a controller. You know, I think, put it this way, I think if England had someone like, I'm not going to go top level, but
De Bruyne.
If we had something, no, but if England had someone, let's say like Kovacic or Xhaka, a controller of some sorts. I really feel that's where we're lacking.
Do you not think that that's what Foden could be, giving time?
Not of his size. No, I think I'm 100% he's a number 10 or left of a front three that plays narrow.
Yeah.
So no, I don't think he could be that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's definitely enough. Personally, myself, I'd like to see him in the hole behind Kane.
Yeah.
But Southgate's system would never allow that because it would mean that, it would almost mean like you are playing a sort of 4-4-1-1/4-4-2, and Gareth's formation just doesn't allow that. He has to have 5 at the back at all times, whether that be 3 and wing backs or 5 and playing defensively. He doesn't. He doesn't. Be like Jack there. He's not got that ruthlessness.
Yeah, I touched upon the point earlier about Harry Kane. How do you lot feel about it? Because for me, a number 9 should be up there. And when we said about Bellingham as well, Bellingham was higher than Kane at times. Bellingham was actually a lot higher than what I anticipated to actually see. I understand Kane maybe dropping deeper and then Bellingham maybe progressing, but it got to a point where we were playing a back 5 and Rice was our central centre back. Because
I've always sort of got an issue with it, but he does it really well. So for me, it's how gutsy are you as a team? And again, it comes down to tactics. The problem we have is I think other players that would do what Kane does would be lauded as world-class and unbelievable. But Kane drops back. I see it a couple of times in the USA game. Saka and Sterling didn't have the license to bomb forward. They were before him. It's no good him coming deep and no one else running beyond. If you watch the game again, you'll see it's almost like Gareth says, no, you have to keep the possession to be able to progress.
Yeah.
England need to learn how to progress the ball without the ball, if that makes sense. They need to
make those runs. In
lines. But I honestly don't think Gareth's tactics are not like that. Gareth is saying, keep the ball, stay solid, and try and find breaks where you can, essentially. Whereas when you look at someone like Pep with his style of football, his is either hug the touchline or interchange with your front three. And if Kane played at Man City, do you think he would be dropping deep and there'd be no one forward? No. He would be dropping forward and there would be a plan on, people bombing on.
Overloading the wingers.
And that's the problem. In all fairness, I think it's harsh to Kane because I think it's Kane almost being a bit of shoulders above the rest and saying, right, I'm going to come back and make something happen.
Yeah.
What happened when Sterling progressed against Iran? When Kane turned back round, he crossed it in goal. You didn't see any of that against USA. Why? Because Gareth felt we were vulnerable and could have got beat by them.
Now, quickly, I just want to say, Jackie is coming with a comment. I so agree about Gareth Southgate. He's not useless, but not ruthless enough to be an international manager. It takes a certain type of management, including coaches, which this current setup lacks. Completely agree with that. We touched upon that and said the lack of ruthlessness from Southgate. Jackie's always come in with, has come in with a question again saying, is that how Kane has been told to play rather than it being his decision? I think that's his decision. I don't think Southgate particularly would want him dropping as deep as he has done, but I think Kane is naturally just dropping deeper, receiving the ball, knocking it onto the likes of Saka, Sterling, Kane.
I see him doing it for Tottenham and stuff.
Yeah.
And he'll drop deep, but then you've got the amount of, when you look at Kane, it's not just his goal scoring. You have quite a lot of good strikers that score his goals, but they don't really assist much. He does both. You look at Kane's assist record, it's pretty good. But, he'll have Son or Kulievski. If you've got no one bombing on, what he does looks stupid. And it sort of makes him look like he's staying out of position. So
it backs my point up. That's what it does.
Yeah, 100%. I think if you're the manager of a team where Kane's doing that, I think you've really got to either decide that it's going to be done and planned and you're going to allow people to bomb on.
Yeah.
Or you're going to tell him to stop doing that. And is Gareth strong enough to say that? Is Gareth going to say, look, Kane, we love what you're doing, but actually, I can't imagine he is. I could be wrong, but I can't imagine him saying to Kane, look, I don't want you dropping deeper. My formation is to keep the ball progressing. I need you up there to hold it up. I think Harry would go. I was going to do an impression then, but I'm not. That would not go down well. But yeah, no, I don't think he is.
Now, also, Southgate for me comes across as just a people pleaser. Like he's like the players tell him what they want to play, and Southgate could easily just go, "Yeah, fair enough, you play that then." I don't think Southgate's as stern with them sorts of things. Like Kane, for instance,
I don't think he seems stern, but I reckon he's one that would surprise you. I reckon he's probably a little bit stern. Yeah. I don't think he's got enough arrogance or
confidence.
Yeah, confidence / arrogance. I'd like him to come out one day and say, "No, we'll wallop these tonight." I know managers notoriously don't do that, but you've got to come out and say, "No, we'll win the Wales game." I'm disappointed with the performance against USA. I thought we weren't expansive enough. Yes, we'll go through as long as we don't get beat 4-0, but that's a very negative way to look at things. I'd like to actually put in a really good performance and win.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like it's interesting because I think with Southgate, he was after the press conference after that game. He said he was happy with that performance from England.
Yeah, that's graceful.
Which I was like, that's completely the opposite of what you should be saying. And again, that's to Jackie's point in terms of like, I don't know, he hasn't got that ruthlessness. I know he was actually brought in as well to kind of like bend that relationship with the media, which I think he did quite well. If I'm being totally
honest. I think he's and with the fans. I think he's done that job well.
Yeah, let's give him props where it's due. Like he's mended that relationship between players and the press, and actually it's taken off a little bit of the pressure in terms of when these tournaments come in. But
we've got a special guest that has just appeared out of the blue.
How do we hide him?
How do we get rid of him? We can't have this man on. We will explain in a minute. Michelle, carry on your point, please. But we'll explain why Fabrice should not be on the show. But carry on.
Has anyone ever seen Take Me Out? I can just imagine the people that are viewing this like.
Oh dear! Sorry, I lost my train of thought. I wanted to show my Ghana shirt to the Breeze just to show them, we know who we're all
supporting. Looks knackered. He's decided to come on here. Oh my God, what are you saying?
Sorry, but yeah, I just think I can't remember what I was saying. I mean, I just think it was quite negative after that game, and we all saw how abysmal England played. To come out and say he was proud of that performance because no one was, and I just think I don't know whether that's him being a bit naive or he's actually trying to take the heat from the players.
From the team, I think it's probably a little bit of that.
Which is fair.
Probably a little bit of that. And I can understand that, but it would be nice for him to, even if he sort of moderately touched on it and said, we're going to need more than that going forward. Even like a statement like that, say, I'm happy with how we defended, but we're going to need a lot more than that. That's a very calm way of saying that wasn't good enough.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, Fabrice has come on. I'm very happy he is here because I want to get Fabrice. Please enlighten the viewers on your statement. We were talking about Belgium in one of the group chats and how they underperformed and they're overrated and stuff like that. And we were speaking about the Belgium squad. And Fabrice, please say your statement that you said, if you can.
Good evening, everyone. So I thought I was going to come on briefly because, again, I love the group. I love the team. But we literally have a WhatsApp message that really kicked off a couple of days ago.
Well, it had nothing to do with me this time. I wasn't involved.
So, wow. So, and I think everyone brought some, I'd say really great opinions. But for me, and I don't want to jump the gun because, again, I don't know exactly what you guys have been talking about. So apologies. If we're talking about the England team at this present moment in time, and also Gareth Southgate, which is like I said, the main component of the England team, I firmly believe that Kevin De Bruyne will not get into the England team. I firmly believe that. Wait. And, I've kind of heard in terms of what you guys have said in terms of is Gareth Southgate soft? Does like Harry Kane play in that position because he kind of wants to? I think Gareth Southgate has a lot more cojones than actually people actually kind of believe. And I think Gareth Southgate has told Kane to actually drop into that number 10, area and literally have the likes of Saka and Sterling kind of run on. However, in terms of the kind of Kevin De Bruyne situation or the statement that I made, I 100% believe that Kevin De Bruyne will not get into this current England team. Facts. Because
don't call it fact. It's not fact.
You know what? If someone says facts after, it's because they know it's probably not.
Okay, well, we have Grealish, we have Foden.
So please, no, to Brice, with all due respect, do not put Grealish on De Bruyne. They're not. No, but
let him finish. Go on.
Michelle's enjoying this.
No, because I'm just like, Foden hasn't really played, but go on.
So, and if you can have a look how England played against USA, and again, credit to like US. I think sometimes we can have this kind of inferior complex where we have to beat everyone 4-0, 5-0.
I agree.
Or for like England to be a success. Think about it. Belgium and Germany. I don't know where Germany are in the world rankings, but I'm sure Germany and Belgium would literally soar off their right arm to be where England are at this present moment in time. Let's be absolutely real here. England
not soar off their arm.
Well, come on,
where England are? England are at the same place as Belgium are.
No. I think England have actually got a better squad than Belgium, and
we have.
I can also say that Belgium are overrated, which like Billy, first of all, disagreed, but then he agreed because again, Belgium are ranked number 2 in the world. Like how does that work out? I don't understand that. But
I disagreed until Brice told me that, and then I searched up the rankings and it said Belgium were 2, and I was like, that's overrated.
Yeah, so actually, I'm not gonna say that I kind of I kind of coined this phrase because I had one of the commentators talk about it. Is that the World Cup now with all of the teams that play now, football is such a closed environment, especially if you can hit that elite level. We've seen it with Japan. A lot of the Japanese players now play in the Bundesliga. So, we're not talking about the players from Japan that play in the J League. We're not talking about the US that play in the MLS. We're not talking about certain like Morocco, Ghana, Senegal that just play in their respective leagues now. So this kind of notion that getting a 0-0 against the US was a bad result, I think it's a great result.
No,
it's not a great. To Brice, you're making sense there, but it's not a great result. Steady on, mate, please.
I think, but this is the problem, right? It's a good result if they were trying to actually win the game. I think there was a lack of energy. There was just literally there was points. I said it earlier in the show. There was points when I say everyone stopped. Like Stones was looking to where to pass it to, then he stopped, and then everyone else stopped around him, and I was just like, this is not like you. It's a game. Like, why is everyone just stopping and looking around? Like 0-0 is great. Trust me. If everyone had tried to, we've seen some blinding 0-0 games.
It's about the performance as well, isn't it?
It is about performance, and it's about the fact that we don't all enter a game to be like, let's just get a draw, guys. Everyone's there to win, right? Regardless, unless it's like the last game of the group where then you go, actually, guys, all we need is a point. So actually, let's play for the draw. That makes sense, but the second game of the group where literally Japan is anyone could win. Saudi Arabia beat Argentina, as in Messi. Anyone can win on their day. You can't go out and play negatively like that. So it wasn't a good result. I fully disagree with that. And anyone that watched that game, it was dreadful. For the talent that we have in this, and it's not even pick players on the pitch, the squad we have, like we are like substitutes is someone else's first team. Like there's so much opportunity. So for me, that was horrendous, and I do not agree that's a good result.
No,
It'll be a good result against Wales, but not for a second game. And USA, who do they have? Pulisic and what's his name, McKinnon. Like that was it, really.
No, but
really.
again, I think we are throwing shade on the US and
we are throwing shade on them. They deserve to say to Greece.
No, but literally, how I see it. No, but again, because of the world that we're living in now, that information and knowledge is readily available. I'm sure. I think everyone knows that the USA coach and Gareth. The USA coach studies Gareth Southgate and he's a mentor, etc., etc., etc. Like these type of conversations were not happening 25, 30 years ago. Yeah. It's because of the internet. It's like because of the information. Like we can all find a player from, again, South Korea, Saudi Arabia, and if we study hard enough, we will seem like an expert of because of that particular player, because we can find whatever information. So imagine now at the elite level with the US resources and England and like other countries that literally have all of the resources at their beck and need about every single player, how they play, all of their results, like their like weak points, their strong points. It's not as clear cut as it used to be back in the day. Honestly,
I don't really get the point you're trying to make.
Okay, so again, talking about the US and the England game, we have to give the US props for literally working out a system and a formation and literally putting the right players in the right places to literally.
Yeah, but I am giving them props, but I'm chucking them shade as well. Like the reason I'm chucking shade is because half of their team are championship standard players. Pulisic doesn't even really get much game time, although he's clearly
anymore. Yeah,
he's clearly good, and personally, I think Arsenal should sign him. So I'm doing both. I'm giving the US props, certainly. I'm not mugging them off, and I think fundamentally what you're trying to say to Brees is that these players are at a higher standard every World Cup as it's going by, and these players are getting in top leagues, and it's not. I get what you're trying to say. I think that's the point you were trying to make, without sounding rude. That it's a different prospect coming up against these teams now, and they should be shown respect. But I think that's a little bit our problem. Because as much as we expect to win 4-5-0, I'm with Michelle. I wouldn't have minded drawing 0-0 with a positive performance. We could have played. I think the issue for me was the game was going in a certain direction. I think the first half showed us that we just weren't on it. So I thought the second half would come out. And actually, Michelle, you were in the stadium. Sometimes you see it a little bit better when you're watching in real life. But for me, I thought, right, okay, opening 10 minutes, let's not make no changes. Let's give them a go because we've not been at the races at all. But actually, it just went into the same fashion, probably even a little bit worse. And I think my issue that I have with that is that you have to have a little bit of arrogance. You're telling me, and it's probably why Brazil win a load of stuff, they have the flair and capability to say, no, we are better than you. So we will turn on the style. We will do the flicks and tricks. We will carry on attacking. I was just really disappointed almost with our reaction because there was many times, especially at the start of the second half, where we could have made changes. We could have made a positive influence on the game. Had we done that and it had been a 0-0, I would have been a little bit more. And don't get me wrong, I'm not getting carried away. I still think we can win the tournament on the basis that we can beat anyone. But we're going to have a little bit about us, and that's where I struggle. Because in that game, when we needed to show a little bit of arrogance, really, essentially, and chuck shade on the USA, we didn't even have a lampshade.
So, okay. Go on, sorry. So literally, this kind of goes to Billy's point regarding Kevin De Bruyne. Kevin De Bruyne.
I thought we'd done
No, but I mean, literally, I'm kind of seeing it as a title. So again, apologies, guys. Apologies if.
No, that's right. That's right.
But again, this goes back to my point. Kevin De Bruyne plays with a certain arrogance and a kind of certain, what's the word?
Ego.
Aura.
Aura. That's it. Aura. When he plays for Man City, he doesn't do it for Belgium. And the only player that I can consider quite close to his aura and arrogance for England is Grealish. No.
Okay, Grealish.
It's Grealish. Mm-hmm. So that's why I'm saying Kevin De Bruyne will not get into the England team while Gareth Southgate is manager, because he doesn't like those type of players.
Yeah, he doesn't.
I don't know if he doesn't like them, but because again, we all saw how Bellingham got. He was. I believe, Michelle, please correct me if I'm wrong. He was the first sub, right? Like he was the first person to be taken off.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Bellingham plays with that type of arrogance that you would expect a player of his stature on the biggest stage to actually play like. Kevin De Bruyne tries to do exactly the same for Belgium, but for whatever reason, it doesn't work. No. So please, it will not work for England.
I wouldn't say it doesn't work. I've seen him have some really good games for Belgium. I think that's a bit harsh saying it doesn't work.
I see. For me, when you said about the disrespect and the shade or whatever it is being thrown at USA, fair play. They turned up and they got a good result against us. But the squad we have, we should not be accepting a draw against them. No offense to USA.
No. I can accept the draw. I can't accept the performance.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree with that. But with the players we have, and Michelle put it perfectly as well, the subs we have are first team players for another team. And the fact, the level or the quality of players we have, we should not be saying that a 0-0 draw against USA is a positive result, especially after the performance we played as well. I'm not disrespecting USA. I'm not going to disrespect Wales. I'm not disrespecting Iran. I'm not disrespecting the smaller countries because their teams aren't as good as England's. And I do agree with the fact that England fans do have this arrogance or this sort of superior feeling that we deserve to win every game 6-0. I'm not saying that we deserve to win every game 6-0. But what I'm saying is stats on paper, the players we have, we should not be allowed to say that a 0-0 draw against USA is a positive result. That's all my point being. And the fact that
a great result was Tabrice's words.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, again, I think we all watched the game. Like USA had the better chances.
They did.
So literally, let's not pretend that England had like an overdose of like great one-on-ones. Like, let's be real here. Like, we were looking
No, we didn't. No, but the thing is with England, when they moved the ball quicker, they had better chances. That was really clear and really obvious, right? And actually, we always knew that USA are going to be running at us. Like we always knew that. But for me, if you move the ball quicker, like we all saw it, we all watched that game. And actually, let's be honest, the USA chances, they were few and far between. They had the better chances because England did zero. They barely moved. Everyone was so lethargic. It was like, literally, I was a bit like, okay.
You think the late game?
Someone else said in the stadium, they were like, this felt like a 10 o'clock game. Like, we forget actually the time difference, right? It was 10 o'clock. But I was a bit like, yeah, I get that. But at the same time, like, it really felt like they always use that excuse if it's an early game, it's an early kickoff, you feel it, and actually it's a bit slower, etc. But you have a whole squad, and actually I think if Gareth was a bit more ruthless and actually wanted to win the game, he would have brought on the likes of like Grealish should have come on earlier. That's what I'm saying. He actually made the right subs with Hendo and Grealish. He probably should have made a few more because he only made 2, I think. Rashford came on, right? So like he made 3, but like they were all really, really late. So it's no disrespect to USA. They played well. I say worked out a system. There wasn't really much to work out because England didn't do anything. Like they
didn't have to work it out.
They didn't work anything out. They were just like, oh, you guys are figuring out who to pass to. Like we're just gonna USA were doing all the tricks and flicks.
We weren't keeping the ball well. We weren't even keeping the ball well. Even when we slowed the game down, we weren't. You've hit the nail on the head there, Shell. There was nothing for them to. I'm not giving them props of tactics because we were so easy to play against.
Yeah.
We weren't keeping the ball well. When we slowed it down, we didn't even move the ball. It's, I don't think they had to work very hard for that draw. And
go on.
The shocks that do happen in this tournament with teams taking big points off big teams I've watched them and they've had to work hard
They
to
were
get
hard
there.
for it, yeah.
USA, I don't feel they might have worked hard in terms of the effort they've put in. I'm not talking that. I mean, have they had to be really clever tactically, and the answer no. And I think ultimately that's my disappointment.
Same.
And if you're going to have a little bit about you in terms of arrogance, you have to say to yourself, okay, we're not going to win every game. We can give props. We're not going to go into a game thing like Tabri said, beating everyone 3-4-0. We can accept that we're going to come up against these teams that have got a plan, whether it be defensive or just getting bodies in. But do we make them do a job? And unfortunately, England can't afford to be like that against better teams because they will be punished.
Yeah, and I think as well with that, to Breese's point, which he said after mine, that I'm not going to pretend that we had more chances. We genuinely had an awful performance. But my point is the fact that we are saying that we were lucky to get a 0-0 draw against USA is a bad thing. And I'm not slating USA for that. But when you list off America's players, just straight off the top of my head, Matt Turner, backup, I think it's Matt Turner, backup goalkeeper for Arsenal. Yeah. R1, our goalkeeper, is a starter for a Premier League side week in, week out. Is he the best? Probably not. But at least he's playing regular football.
Yeah, true.
Then you look at defence and midfield and so on and so on. The players we have, we should not be allowing a 0-0 draw that was lucky. We shouldn't have drawn that game. We should have left with 0 points and USA should have taken the 3 points. I'm not arguing that. But I'm arguing the fact that shouldn't be allowed in the first place. That's all my point on saying on that with.
And you know what, like I totally understand what Billy's saying, and I totally respect it. Again, Billy and I went hammering about 1 o'clock in the morning, guys. 1 o'clock in the morning. We're not talking about afternoon. We're talking 1 o'clock in the morning. And again, like Billy makes some valid points. However, maybe I'm just a bit of an optimist here, and I think, okay, the positive to come out of this clean sheet. We didn't play well, and we got a point. And also, which was another topic of conversation, was Maguire. I thought Maguire got man of the match, and he kind of did everything that you would want from a centre back. Nothing spectacular, but again, he led the back line really, really well. And when you're kind of going deep into these competitions, you are looking at the experienced players. You are looking, when you're not playing well, the players that you can count on. And now we can begin to understand why Southgate, first of all, wanted to bring Maguire, which I totally understood. I didn't agree in terms of Maguire playing, but against USA, I've got to change my tune now. I understand why he's playing with John Stones.
You touched upon it there with the clean sheet, and you made a comment that I've just put in here as well. A clean sheet is the same as a hat trick. Now, I got very confused by this, and to Brees, as well as you, I'm a centre back, and I completely understand the feeling of getting 0 goals past you is a great feeling. But you have a goalkeeper, another centre back, maybe even another centre. I know my team plays a back 5, so there'll be 3 centre backs, 2 wing backs, and the keeper. That's 4 other players there that are fighting for that clean sheet. For a hat trick, yes, you've got other players working for you to help you, but only you can score them goals. Only you can put your boot against that ball and get it into the back of the net. So I didn't understand the comparison with them two, even as a centre back myself as well.
I think this is a comment where if you take it literally, it doesn't make no sense. This isn't meant literally. I think it's meant in the same context that's how defenders look at a clean sheet. They look at it like, that is amazing. That is the top thing we could have done. We've been able to absorb pressure. We've worked as a team. We've headed the balls out. But they're not even comparable. It's like comparing green and blue. They're different. I don't even like this question, if I'm honest.
For me personally, as a centre back, if my team keeps a clean sheet, for me personally, that's like, again, an attacker scoring a hat trick. Defenders are being a defender, being anything defensive in a kind of football team. You are a very selfless individual. You are very, very selfless because it's very rare that defenders get the applause and literally get the credit that they deserve. So literally, when it comes to keeping a clean sheet, I'm always looking at either the goalkeeper and someone from the back four to actually get like my man of the match vote. And for me, against the USA, Maguire was outstanding, was absolutely outstanding. So for me personally, yes, when I keep a clean sheet, whatever level that I play at, that is a hat trick for me, 100%.
No.
Okay,
what? So your man of the match for the whole game, not just for England, for the whole game was Harry Maguire to Brees, yeah? Right. Joe, what is your man of the match for either USA, England, or both the whole match? Who is your man of the match?
Maguire was my man of the match.
Michelle?
Hendo, but Pulisic for USA because he took every single corner, every kind of free kick, and he got so much support from the crowd. It was quite nice, actually.
And he hit the bar as well.
He did hit the bar. So I'd say, yeah, those two.
For me, I would have gone with Rice as my man of the match for England, because you may look at me weird, but I felt bad for Rice. The fact that the two centre-backs kept playing the ball into him, he kept looking around, trying to find a pass. Bellingham was too busy playing up front. Kane was trying to play centre-back, and it was an absolute... It just looked awful for me. And
Rice is not good enough. Rice is not good enough on the ball.
Yeah, I was going to say, because
Rice is not Rice. I'll tell you what, I see that same situation completely differently.
Yeah.
And England will be exposed this tournament for Rice's. The problem you have, and this is the same as what I said earlier, we have no one confident on the ball in the middle of the park. That's where England's team is lacking. Rice is fantastic at breaking up play, covering areas, getting challenges in. He's strong. He plays them really small passes really well in tight, intricate areas, but he's not comfortable on the ball.
Yeah.
And I've never seen anything in club or country, anything from Rice. You play Rice as you don't play him for his. I'm trying to think of a player, but you don't play him for his ability.
Yeah, you know what I mean. So I think what the US did really well, they literally targeted Bellingham, and literally Bellingham in like any football team is the conductor. He
is the one that could do it. Yeah. So Bellingham's more the conductor. If England are going to be passing out to Rice, expect. Sorry to Brees, you've hit the nail on the head, which I was trying to say, but. Yeah, Rice isn't a conductor. He's not the player I would be using to pass the ball to. He's better when the ball's coming at him from the other way. Sorry, but to Bruce.
That's why kind of going back in terms of how balanced the England team is. Potentially, we've probably got the most balanced squad in the whole world. Well, bar from Brazil and France.
No, I would say other than France. I would put us second. I'd put France first and us second on balance of the squad.
In terms of like the balance of the squad. So literally Rice is the legwork, you know, literally he enjoys like the kind of running in the forest, breaking up play, you know, breaking bricks. And you know, I'm not saying that
he is good at that specific.
Yeah. We're not saying that he can't pass, but when we talk about someone that can actually, you know, get a ball and literally set the pace in terms of how we play, Jude Bellingham is the only midfielder that I believe that can do that.
That can conduct,
And let's not get carried away. Bellingham is 19,
so
like for him to be taken off, that's absolutely fine. That's they play these games within 2-3 days, and again, we're like talking, excessive muscle work. You know, like it's wear and tear on the body. So I'm actually glad that Southgate took him off and thought, you know what, let's kind of protect our like young like Prince now, because again, we will go out to battle in a. I'm saying like he's like potentially like the jewel in our crown. He isn't that person right now. Let's not get carried away. But later on in the kind of tournament, hopefully, fingers crossed, we are we're like still in the quarterfinals and semi-finals, I believe that's where Bellingham will literally show his ability even more, and also as well show his maturity, because there were times against the US where like the US were very physical, and he could have easily lost his rag, but he thought, you know what, hey, like it's just one of them games. So but no, credit where credit's due, and I believe that we will beat Wales, and whoever we like playing the next round, beware.
But back to my point before everyone cut my head off with Rice. Rice was my man of the match for England, but the whole match, I wanted it to go to
Pulisic.
No,
Henderson.
the other American.
McKinnon.
No, McKennie. No, not him.
Okay.
Adams.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay.
He was one of the from what it came across, he was very vital in the way that they were defended or they're attacking. He seemed to be he seemed to be in the middle of it, no matter where it was on the pitch. Whether they were going forward and attacking, he seemed to be just there, being able to supply the pass for Pulisic or anyone like that. And he also seemed to be able to drop back and be able to cover anyone trying to make them runs. So overall, the match would have been Adams for me over Maguire, because I think he offered more.
Okay.
I think I think as a neutral, if someone saw Adams play in that game, they would have rated him about 60-70 million. But who's this guy playing such a phenomenal game? Because again, like, he doesn't really play like that for Leeds. He plays in a different role, and again, that's why we should give the USA credit. We've got to give the players credit. If you're playing in the Premiership, or if you're playing in your division in the elite side of it, then you must have some sort of footballing IQ. It's it's not just a foregone conclusion. So credit where credit's due to like Tyler Adams, because with a performance like that, he could play for any of the top 4 clubs in the Premiership.
Yeah. Moving on to the next question, which we've sort of touched upon already. Michelle, I'm going to come to you first with the question. Have we got a chance to win the World Cup?
No.
And why is that?
Oh, because again, it's the ruthlessness. And I think for me, this World Cup has just shown that, like, literally it's anybody's. Like, some of those groups, we generally don't even know. Because who's confirmed to go through already? Just France, right?
France and Brazil.
And actually Portugal looks like they're about to go through now. But everyone else is like, it could change. It's literally interchangeable. I just think we don't have that winning mentality to be ruthless when it's needed, in terms of, like, actually we're down 2-0. Like, we've seen something. I'll give credit to the African teams. Like, they're never down and out. Like, they will come back. Like, they're believing to the last whistle. And I just don't think we have that element within the team. I don't know. Or I'll say the team, the starting 11 that we've been seeing so far. I just don't think we have that. And I think for this World Cup especially, we're going to need that. So I think obviously our defense is a little bit shaky. I'm not going to lie. I don't know how they're going to fare with the likes of, like, Brazil and Argentina, to be fair. But that's my opinion. So no.
Joe, what do you think our chances are of winning the World Cup?
Yeah, phrase like that is a better question, because have we got a chance? Yes. What do I think our chances are? Low. And I'll tell you for why, and you'll see it in the later rounds. You can clip this bit. I feel like this is a type of thing that's going to end up coming back. I think Declan Rice will be exposed if we continue to play the ball through him in Gareth's formation. I don't think he's good enough on the ball, but Gareth will always use him against a big side. So I don't feel like we will be able to pass the ball out well enough with that conductor, because Bellingham is still young and he's not going to take that responsibility on. So I'm really concerned watching Gareth's tactics, how we are actually going to progress the play. We're playing modern day football, but we've got Rice and Maguire doing most of the work, passing the ball out. And I rate Maguire from a defensive perspective, but you have to when you come against these bigger teams, when you've got Mbappe, let's say we draw France, how's that going to work? It doesn't. Fundamentally, it doesn't. You put 5 behind the ball and hope you grab a goal. And I think until England are confident in their own ability, I'm saying this from a confident fan, I believe our squad is the second best. I think, you call me ludicrous, player for player and balance, I believe we're above Argentina, Brazil. It sounds crazy, but in terms of like talent, youthfulness, age, I just think we're lacking being able to play out from the back and really be confident on the ball. So I think our chances are
not that high.
51.
So, Bruce, what do you think our chances are of winning the World Cup?
I think we've got a good chance. I think let's be confident here. If we kind of play the right team, and again, I agree in terms of what Joe was saying in terms of Rice. If literally Rice is our kind of conductor or our kind of mainstay midfielder, then we are going to struggle. However, France will still concede goals. They've got Lloris in goals. In goals.
You have to get to that goal first.
Yeah, like their like back four isn't great. And Mbappe plays more as as an inside right forward. Actually, he plays more of a left. Actually,
yeah.
He plays
more
left.
But the difference is they're so aggressive. How negative England are to Brees. I feel like if them two played, you wouldn't get much on their back four because they would just be pressing you so high with Mbappe and whoever they had on the other side. They play so high up the pitch.
But then this is literally where Gareth Southgate could come into his own in terms of his defensive tactics. Because again, don't forget, like we are still probably missing our best defender, Kyle Walker. I'm not saying that that's a game for him to come straight into.
Our paciest defender.
Yeah,
it would be a concern to me if someone said he was our best defender because I always actually think he's not the best defender in my opinion at all. He's very pacey and he gets away with being a half decent defender. I actually think our best defender on the books is John Stones with a centre half that can also play ball.
Yeah. Yeah.
Walker is a get out of jail card for you because
of his pace.
I said that the wrong way around. Because of his pace and he's quite strong. So
yeah.
Walker's just naturally going to be more. He's got more to go for him. Can I just say though? Sorry, I'm mixing it up here. Sean,
I was going to just get onto that.
Oh, yeah, Sean. Thanks for your comment, Sean. Nice to see you on. We have a registrar in Loftus Cheek and John Joe Shelby.
Wow, John Joe Shelby. Sean, no.
Sean, you look like a nice chap.
Sean, no.
I don't know you, Sean.
No, we're not having that. We're not having that. I'm sorry.
Sean, are you in the pub? You should have been home by now from the World Cup.
We're not having that.
Come on, Sean, bruv.
We're not having that.
He also did say LinkedIn analysis for the World Cup interesting to Brees as well. I literally was just about to get onto it, but we will move on from that. Next thing.
Actually, Billy, what do you think?
Yeah, what's your
thing? Come on, Bill.
As what? What's our chances of winning the World Cup?
Yeah.
Slim. Real slim. When we've got Southgate in charge and we're struggling against an average USA side compared to England, I don't think we've got much of a chance of anything. I was impressed that we got to the semi-final in the World Cup the last time round, but we did get a very lucky run of games.
Oh, come on, Bill.
Mate, tell me a challenge. Tell me a challenge that we had to face. Belgium, we lost.
Was it Colombian penalties?
Yes.
We've got issues with penalties. No, but we've got issues with penalties. The fact that we got over that hurdle.
That was a massive.
That was big.
I'm not saying Colombia or the games we didn't have were challenging, but the teams they had compared to ours, they shouldn't be a challenge.
But when we did come up against Germany in the Euros, we've shown that we can beat the good side. So I actually think it done us no favours having the sides that are sort of almost lucky to go through there. We did have a very good side of the draw, But look, I'm not one of these fans. I don't care who we get. If we're going to win this, let's win it. Let's win the game. If you're going to win the World Cup, you have to go and win it. Because England don't have the luxury of winning it 10 years ago or being like Brazil that produces talent all the time. England are either we've got the best team in the world. No, you're not going to win it, England, because you haven't got the mentality to win it. Wake up, drop your arrogance and turn it into confidence. You know, get your fans, stop thinking, oh, England, Rooney's the best player in the world. No, they're not. No, they are not. We have a good team, a youthful team, that surely they get psychologists in. These people are paid a lot of money, yeah? Props. You've done some work on the Colombia penalties. It didn't work on the England penalties against Italy, though, did it? No. You have to go and win the game. If you had this mentality in the final, we might be sitting there talking about, well, we won the Euros. Someone has to wake up and smell the coffee. And it ain't going to be Loftus-Cheek or John Joe Shelby, I can tell you that. Absolute free. I'm sorry about my rant. I am behind the team. We are good enough to beat anyone. I don't care who we get in the next round. We don't have the luxury. If we won a World Cup, we are unfortunately one of the teams that have to go and win it. It's very similar for Belgium. It's like Liverpool winning the Premier League after 30 years, right? They had to go and win that. There was no like City 20 points clear. You don't have that luxury when you are beggars can't be choosers. And England are beggars, okay? Forget what we think we're better than everyone else. We are beggars. If you ask Argentina, if you ask Brazil, go around to these top players and say, oh, you might have England. They won't care they've got England in the next group.
Yeah.
Because England ain't going to turn up and hammer them 3-0 and say, yeah, there's my chest, 3-0. We're not the old England. No one's going to do that. And until they do that, they will win. I was going to say a different word then. Bugger all.
Now,
sorry about that. I'm sorry.
Do not apologise for that, Joe. I've got goosebumps. That was a brave heart. That was a brave heart.
Fly over the valleys. Give them sugar. Let's be having you. Let's get Delia out there. Yeah.
That was a great way to talk about it, to be honest. What has anything changed with your guys' opinions on who's the favourites for the World Cup? Joe, I know you said Spain, which is.
I wouldn't say Spain were favourites. I thought they would win. I think the favourites are probably Brazil or Argentina.
Sorry, let me reword it, Joe. Who's your favourites to win? That's my point. Like, who's your team that you think?
I fancy Spain to win it.
Yeah,
I think they're youthful. The Spanish side over the last couple of years have been building again after sort of dominance in 2000s, and they sort of hit a bit of a stumbling block with talent, but that's coming through again now, and they're just so good at keeping possession. And I think in a tournament where it's free for all, so I think anyone can win it, it's so open. No team is like, back in the day when you used to watch Brazil, you used to think they're going to win it. They're going to win it. They're just better than everyone else. Yeah. I don't feel like that. I feel like Spain are different to the others. I feel like they can control the football better than any other side. But don't rule out the Germans.
So you think Spain, but you also believe that Germany could be in there for contenders as well. Michelle, what's your thoughts?
I've always said Brazil.
They're probably not even going to go through because they've only got 1 point, but up through.
Michelle, so you've always said Brazil, and you're.
I've always said Brazil.
Whose Wi-Fi is dodgy?
Yours. 1,000% yours. I've always said Brazil, and that hasn't changed within the group stages. I do think Argentina is starting to come into their own as well. They look pretty solid. France are interesting because I think they could be quite close, but I think Brazil as a squad, I think anyone they bring on can make a difference to the game, and that's basically anyone. So like for me, if you've got that on your bench, then you've got a chance.
Yeah.
I think for me, though, so far, star of the tournament's got to be Mbappe. You mentioned France there, Michelle. He looks awesome, doesn't he?
He does look really good.
Fabrice, who's your winners?
It's either Brazil or France, and I agree with what Michelle and Joe have said. I've got nothing else to say, but yeah, Brazil or France.
I've been on the same boat as Michelle with Brazil. I've been quite confident that they're going to win it. But
I'd fancy us to beat Brazil this year. If we get Brazil, I'd fancy us to beat them. They're the one team in terms of their style of play that, believe it or not, I think it'd suit England.
In what sense?
In
what way?
I believe they build up in front of you rather than getting behind. They sort of build that possession football. Honestly, Brazil are one of the sides that I just feel like our style of play would suit and beat them.
Oh, no, but see. Okay, so
they're serious.
So without this being a marathon show, I'm sure you guys have been talking about how England don't have a style of play. So how?
No. We have a style of play. It's don't lose, and it's negative, and it doesn't carve out a lot of chances.
And with Brazil, they have probably the most attacking squad in the.
Yeah, but they play very much with the ball from the 30, 40 years. So trust me, I've been watching Brazil. I'm not impressed with them at all. They might have 2 wins. I'm not impressed at all. I've seen France have looked better than them. Holland, other than a dodgy sort of 45 minutes, probably looked better than them. Argentina, other than their first game, I've not rated Brazil at all. I think they're quite slow build-up play. I think they've got a few average players in there that wouldn't even sniff some of the old Brazil first 11's shoes. I do not see the team. As for Neymar, I would be tripping him up so he can roll down the highway.
Have you seen his ankle?
He's not playing.
Oh, he'd get another ankle like that off me. He's a donut. He's very easily mentality-wise, he's not that strong. You got Richarlison up top, who don't even get in the Spurs side. You got Silva, who he's class, but he's 38. See you later, mate.
Yeah, but he's playing really well. He's even playing well for Chelsea.
He's playing excellent. No. I'm not being ageist here, but he doesn't have the pace. If you are going to attack a man, you want him to be 38.
No.
He doesn't need pace.
You don't need pace. You don't need pace.
We've seen that with multiple players.
Look, if you're going against, you do need pace.
You don't need pace.
No. You don't need pace. I get what you're saying, and you're correct in what you're saying. What I'm trying to say is, if you are bringing it to someone, mate, I hope France play Brazil, and Mbappe goes against Silva, and we'll have another conversation of.
But
you see, like Mbappe will not go head to head with Silva because Silva, no matter, I think Silva has a better footballing IQ than Mbappe.
Yeah, I do as well.
So literally, that's why Mbappe likes to play that inside forward between the centre back and the right back because like,
either way, without getting into it too much, I do not see Brazil winning this tournament. And actually, I fancy them to go out the first test they get.
Could be the final.
No, the first test. So that's got to at least be quarterfinal. They will be out by the quarterfinal stage, and I would take them over 4, 5, 6 other teams.
See, I was saying with Brazil, I still am sticking with Brazil, but I do. After Joe explaining Spain, I do understand that sort of way that Spain are coming through now. You saw with the I think it was 2010 when they won the World Cup. Question me, but I believe they are.
Yeah, and they lost that opening game to Switzerland 1-0 as well. I think it's the first time a team has won a World Cup after losing the open game, and theirs was very much about possession. I'm not seeing any side currently that are quite good enough to control a game like Spain. I'm just wondering if that will be enough for them because they haven't got any standout players. But I don't know.
Well, guys, I don't know if that's Fabrice's microwave going on.
I'm sorry.
It's fine.
Man's gotta eat.
I got it.
We are going to leave it on that note. Guys, it's been a pleasure as always. Michelle, thank you for coming on. Joe, thank you for coming on. And to Brice, making a special appearance to get rinsed after his time.
Yeah, you're a brave man. T, you're brave.
No, listen, you know what? Listen, I love you guys, man. Honestly. And literally, myself and Billy were going at 1 o'clock in the morning, guys. 1 o'clock in the morning.
Me and Michelle woke up to 127 messages.
I thought someone had died. I was like,
Even I had to question, was I like messaging and I'm not aware of it? Like, did I start something? And I was like, no, it's not me this time. I'm not doing anything.
And I realised that Fabrice had just gone mad. So I was like, fair. I'm glad Billy held it down for all of us because bloody hell, Fabrice. I mean, what a comment. But do you know what? Fair play for standing your ground.
You turned up, you said your comment, and you got rinsed for it. But you still stood with it. So
Exactly.
fair enough. Guys, it's been a pleasure as always. Thank you for coming on. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and then don't forget as well, we'll be on next Monday at 8 o'clock. We'll be discussing England v Wales. Just a quick one. Your score predictions. I forgot about that. My score predictions is going to be another 0-0. I don't see Southgate ever trying to turn up. I've had enough. I'm not excited.
Oh, Billy, you make me laugh, you know.
I've had enough. I've had enough of it. 0-0 draw or 1-0 loss. I can't see it.
1-0 loss. Wow. Okay.
Michelle, what's yours?
I think it'll be either 1-0 or 2-0 to England. Yeah, they have to go. They'll get out of the group.
Joe?
3-0 England. Convincing. Will make the Welsh look the standard they are, which is a lot worse than USA.
To Breeze?
A slim win for England.
A slim win. Right. Guys, I am ending it now. I promise. I said it 3 times, but I mean it now. It's been a pleasure as always. Thank you for coming on, and we'll see you next week at 8 p.m. Cheers, guys. Take care.